If you're familiar at all with Pokemon battling, not even competitive, just battling in general, you'll know that it's most advantageous to use attacking moves that correspond with a Pokemon's higher attacking stat. If a Pokemon has higher physical attack, you'd use physical moves. If it has higher special attack, you'd use special moves. While not super necessary in a playthrough, in competitive battling, you'd also want to have a nature that boosts that higher attack stat, a perfect IV, and EVs into that stat to maximize the damage that your Pokemon is capable of outputting. Sometimes though, it is actually more advantageous to use a Pokemon's lower attacking stat due to a number of reasons, like the abilities they get, the moves or lack of moves they get, or a certain interaction with an item. So in this video, I'll be discussing the best Pokemon competitively that use attacking moves of their lower attacking stat. For a Pokemon to count for this list, I decided to enforce a minimum difference of 10 points between attack and special attack. I wanted the included Pokemon to make for interesting discussions, and anything less than 10 might as well be considered the same attack and special attack to me. This video will be mostly Scarlet and Violet focused, but since I found quite a few mons from previous games that fit this criteria too, I will be including some entries from previous generations, discussing either singles or doubles, whichever format fits the criteria more. Mixed attacking, using both physical and special attacking moves at the same time, will not count towards this list, although pretty much all the Pokemon I'll be discussing could be used as mixed attackers if you really wanted to. With all that being said, let's look at Pokemon that use their lower attacking stat. Starting off, we have Tapu Koko using its special attack despite being 20 points lower than its physical attack. Tapu Koko is one of the 4 guardian deities that all get abilities that activate terrain upon entry, with Tapu Koko's ability activating electric terrain. As legendary Pokemon, they have a high base stat total, so despite both of its attacking stats being relatively high, the rest of its stats are still high enough to be good, something that can't be said about a lot of Pokemon that have high stats in both attack and special attack. The main reason that Tapu Koko likes to function as a special attacker is that Electric just has way better options on the special side than on the physical side. This was something that I mentioned in my How to Buff Every Type in Pokemon video, which is that special attacking Electric types have a strictly better attacking move than physical attackers. Thunderbolt is 90 base power, 100% accurate with a 10% chance to paralyze, doesn't make contact, and has no drawback. Wild Charge is also 90 base power and 100% accurate, but it makes contact, has no secondary effect, and deals recoil damage. Not only that, but this is really the only decent physical electric move that Tapu Koko gets, with it getting plenty of options on the special side, like Discharge for spread damage, Volt Switch for pivoting, and Electro Web for speed control. Since it gets a boost from electric terrain and can use these moves without worrying about recoil or the drawbacks of making contact, going special is a much better option. For its other type, Fairy, it is also much better on the special side than physical, with it getting Dazzling Gleam, a solid special fairy move, but no physical fairy moves at all. This makes special the clear winner between the two attacking stats for Tapu Koko. Next, we have Azumarill using its physical attack despite being 10 points lower than its special attack. This one's really obvious, so I'm gonna make it quick. Azumarill gets huge power, which doubles its physical attack. If you invest fully in its attack with an attack boosting nature, it has the equivalent base attack of 152 at level 50 and 149 at level 100. It also gets Belly Drum to raise its attack even more, physical priority with Aqua Jet, and physical stab with Liquidation and Play Rough. It's funny because Azumarill's special attack was increased by 10 in Gen 6, since it used to be the same as its physical attack at 50, but it was given this completely useless buff. Next, we have all 4 forces of nature to an extent. When I was first making this video, I was mostly focused on Landorus Incarnate, but I realized that really all the genies have been known to use their lower attacking stat at one point or another, at least in their incarnate forms. Starting with Landorus Incarnate using its special attack despite being 10 points lower than its physical attack. The main reason for this is that Landorus Incarnate gets the ability Sheer Force, which boosts the power of moves with secondary effects at the cost of removing those secondary effects. Sheer Force also has a unique interaction with the held item Life Orb, an item that normally increases the power of moves by 30% at the cost of 10% of the holder's HP after every use. Sheer Force removes that 10% HP drawback while keeping the power boost, incentivizing Sheer Force on Landorus even more. Landorus can take advantage of this with plenty of special moves, but not that many physical moves, making special attacking Landorus Incarnate generally the better option. It gets Earth Power, Sandsear Storm, Sludge Bomb, Sludge Wave, Psychic, and Focus Blast. On the physical side though, it lacks a strong ground move with a secondary effect, but does have some decent coverage options like Crunch and Rock Slide. The thing about Landorus Incarnate is that yes, it can be used as a physical attacker, but you could also just switch to Landorus Therian, have 20 more attack, and use that as a physical attacker instead. The other 3 genies don't use their lower attacking stat as much as Landorus does, but I still feel that they are worth mentioning. Thundurus and Tornadus both have physical attack stats 10 points lower than their special attack, and both get the hidden ability Defiant, and Thundurus used Defiant a lot in Sword and Shield due to a lot of max moves lowering stats, resulting in its physical attack being raised. Tornadus not as much, since Prankster Tailwind is just so good, and it's mono type, so it doesn't get stabbed for another type like Thundurus does, but it is still worth mentioning. Enamorus' physical attack stat is 20 points lower than its special attack, and it gets the ability Contrary, which reverses all stat changes. It also gets Superpower, a physical move that normally lowers attack and defense, which will be flipped from Contrary. This is actually quite a niche set though, with some sets using special Stellar Terra Blast for stat boosts instead, or not even using Contrary at all, so that Enamorus can set up with Calm Mind. Overall, Landorus Incarnate definitely uses its lower attacking stat the most, but I did still want to mention the other genies since they have been known to do that as well. Next, we have Kommo-o using its special attack despite being 10 points lower than its physical attack. Like the last entry, this is another Pokemon that has seen use with both of its attacking stats, but in recent formats, it is almost exclusively a special attacker. That mainly has to do with a new item that was introduced and the way that it interacts with the move that Kommo-o gets. One of Kommo-o's signature moves, Clangorous Soul, is a Dragon-type status move that cuts a third of its HP and then raises all of its stats by 1 stage. Gen 8 introduced the Throat Spray, a held item that raises the user's special attack by 1 stage after using a sound-based move, and Clangorous Soul is categorized as a sound-based move. This means that after using this move, Kommo-o will have +1 in attack, defense, special defense, and speed, and +2 in special attack. Its other signature move, Clanging Scales, is a 110 base power, 100% accurate, special attacking dragon type move that hits both opponents in doubles at the cost of lowering its defense by 1 stage after use. Clanging Scales is also a sound-based move, so the Throat Spray will be activated by this move too. As a fighting type, Kommo-o also gets Stab on Body Press, which is a physical move, but this move uses the user's defense stat in the damage calculation, not its attack stat, meaning that Kommo-o would still not be using its physical attack stat. Other special moves it could use include Aura Sphere, Vacuum Wave, and Flamethrower, and while Kommo-o does get more physical moves overall, its setup with its signature move and spread damage with its other signature move are just too good not to use. Next, we have Salamence using its special attack despite being 25 points lower than its physical attack. As I mentioned in my The Best Pokemon That Don't Use Stab video, good physical dragon and flying moves are hard to come by. Just ask Dragonite. Unlike Dragonite, Salamence was actually able to keep Dual Wing Beat in Gen 9, which it does sometimes use, but it has all the same mid-physical attacking dragon moves, like Dragon Claw, Outrage, and Dragon Rush. Special dragon moves include Draco Meteor and Dragon Pulse, which are much more consistent options, and special attacking flying moves include Air Slash and Hurricane, which are honestly about the same as Dual Wing Beat and Fly in terms of consistency. 2-turn moves are hardly ever worth using if they don't grant some sort of stat boost, and the flinch chance and slightly higher accuracy of Air Slash is generally preferred over Dual Wing Beat. Salamence absolutely can and has been used as a physical attacker, especially since it gets Dragon Dance, but in recent formats like Reg H, it has almost exclusively been used as a special attacker. Next, we have Toxapex using its special attack despite being 10 points lower than its physical attack. This was an entry that I wasn't really sure if I should even include, but it's technically true, so I've decided to leave it in. Toxapex is not a damage dealer by any means. It's a defensive wall that's meant to take hits, spread poison, and stall out its opponents. It uses status moves like Toxic, Recover, Haze, Toxic Spikes, and Baneful Bunker, and sometimes might not even have an attacking move at all. The attacking moves it would use are mostly special, like Surf, Ice Beam, Infestation, and Sludge Bomb. It used to run Scald and Knockoff, but lost access to both of these moves in Scarlet and Violet. Since Toxapex's role is as a stallmon, not a sweeper, the attacking moves it uses are usually just for chip damage to advance game states so that it's not just clicking Toxic and Recover over and over again, especially if it gets taunted. I did see that it can use Liquidation too, and with it only being 5 base power lower than Surf, coming from an attack stat that's 10 points higher, it will do slightly more damage, but again, Toxapex's role is not a damage dealer, and using a contact move puts you at risk of the possible abilities and items that activate upon contact. Next, we have Nidoking using its special attack despite being 17 points lower than its physical attack. Nidoking is pretty much in the exact same position as Landorus Incarnate, both being Pokemon with sheer force that have higher physical attack than special attack, but prefer to use special attack. Freezeye has a great short video covering exactly why Nidoking does this, and the bottom line is that it has better special moves with secondary effects than physical moves with secondary effects, and the no drawback Life Orb boost is just too good not to use over its other abilities. Since Flamethrower has a higher base power than Fire Punch, Thunderbolt has a higher base power than Thunder Punch, Ice Beam has a higher base power than Ice Punch, Sludge Wave has a higher base power than Poison Jab, and Earth Power has a secondary effect while Earthquake doesn't, Special is actually the better option on Nidoking. Like Azumarill, Nidoking also received a completely useless base stat buff in Gen 6, since its attack used to be 92, but being 10 points higher still does not make its physical moves hit as hard as its special moves. Lastly, we have Fezandipiti using its special attack despite being 21 points lower than its physical attack. Fezandipiti is one of the loyal 3, all Pokemon with the ability Toxic Chain. In doubles, Fezandipiti will generally be used for speed control as it gets both Icy Wind and Tailwind. With Dazzling Gleam, it has stab spread damage that is mostly just there for chip and for the chance of badly poisoning both opponents from Toxic Chain. It also gets Roost for recovery, Hex for double damage against poison foes, and Acid Spray to weaken special defense. In singles, it does see use as a physical attacker, but it's less of a damage dealer and more of a status spreader and pivoter, using the multi-hit move Beat Up to activate Toxic Chain, U-Turn for pivoting, and Play Rough for stab. With both of its attacking stats being mid at best, whichever one you choose won't make that much of a difference with how much damage you're outputting, since like Toxapex, that's not really its main role. It can be used that way if you really wanted, as it gets Swords Dance, Nasty Plot, and Agility, but that's not really making the best use of its kit. And those are Pokemon that use their lower attacking stat. Let me know if you disagree with any of my reasonings, or feel that I missed any. This video was inspired by a comment I got on a different video, so shout out to Caleb Evans 743 for the idea. If you have any other suggestions for videos you'd like to see me make, let me know and I might just make it into a video. I do genuinely read all comments, and leaving comments is one of the best ways to support me and my channel. Reading through each and every one is the highlight of my day, and I will try to respond to as many as I can. You can also click the join button and become a member, and I made the cost as low as possible at 99 cents USD. Members get a badge next to their name and up to 1 week early video release access. Keep in mind that these videos will be releasing on my normal schedule for non-members, so please don't feel obligated at all to join unless you really want to support me and you are financially capable of doing so. Huge thanks to all my members. I really appreciate your continued support for the channel. Likes are also one of the ways that YouTube determines if a video should be passed around to more people, so if you feel that this video deserves to be, I would appreciate it. Thanks for watching.